Stu and his twin sister, Kelly, sit together in their bedroom. Kelly is deeply focused on a video game but grows increasingly frustrated as she struggles to beat a level. Seeing her struggle, Stu offers to help by using cheat codes. Kelly immediately declines, insisting she'd rather improve on her own and win fairly. She reminds him that he can't cheat his way through every challenge in life. Stu counters that it's not cheating, it's simply winning without the pain. Stu, determined to skip school, rubs onions on his eyes and sniffs pepper to make himself appear sick. When their mother notices the pepper left on the table, Kelly quickly covers for him, claiming she had used it to make her hair shinier. Once their mother and Kelly leave, Stu's eyes wander across the street, where he notices an old lady across the street. Ignoring it, he sneaks into his father's study, carefully picking the locks on the desk drawers. Inside, he finds his father's exam papers. He steals them, jotting down all the answers for himself. Stu quietly slips past his mother and heads to the kitchen, where he prepares a milkshake for himself. To maintain surveillance, he sets up a small camera on the staircase, allowing him to keep an eye on his mother from a distance. Settling in comfortably, he watches a horror movie while savoring his milkshake. Later, his attention shifts to the window, where he observes his elderly neighbor, Mrs. McMyrtle, receiving several packages of cat food. When his mother returns home, Stu quickly feigns studying, concealing his curiosity. His mother tells him to get some rest and hands him a two-headed trick coin. Later, Stu resumes spying on Mrs. McMyrtle and sees her removing a false wall in her garage. He is surprised by how strong she is for her age. He then watches as she fills her bathtub with cat food. When his mother enters the room, he tries to tell her what he has seen, but she dismisses his account, believing he is hallucinating due to his fever. She insists that he stay in bed. Undeterred, Stu ties his camera to a fishing rod, lowers it out of his window, and resumes spying on Mrs. McMyrtle. Through the lens, he watches her fill the bathtub with cat food and then step inside, only to see her shadow transform into a monstrous shape. Terrified, Stu drops his camera. Desperate for answers, he searches online for cat food bath creature and discovers the legend of Coecoecan. Coecoecan is described as a parasitic creature that takes over human bodies and relies on the taurine in cat food to survive. When his mother arrives, Stu attempts to warn her about the legend, but she dismisses it as a product of his illness. Concerned for Mrs. McMyrtle's safety, Stu urges that they call the police, but his mother refuses, suggesting instead that she will visit the neighbor herself to check on her. She walks over to Mrs. McMyrtle's house, asking to borrow her lawnmower. While Mrs. McMyrtle retrieves it from the garage, Stu's mother takes the opportunity to look around but finds nothing unusual. She receives a phone call, and after finishing it, returns to the garage, removes the false wall, and discovers nothing behind it. When she comes back home, she reassures Stu that their neighbor is completely normal. She tells him to return to his bed, explaining that she must leave for the office to attend an urgent matter. She has arranged for Mrs. McMyrtle to stay and babysit him in her absence. When McMyrtle arrives at the door, she attempts to speak to him kindly, but he retorts that her old lady routine will not work on him. She calmly responds that she is aware he has been spying on her. She begins to explain that her unusual actions, starting with the cat food deliveries, were intended to capture his attention. She explains that she intentionally left her garage door open so he could witness her unnatural strength and her transformation. Every step had been part of her plan. She needed his mother to visit, then orchestrated the fake phone call that sent her away to work. All of it, she reveals, was carefully arranged so she could be there with him, alone. Her tone darkens as she adds that she has been watching him for some time and knows about his secret, how he has been stealing exam papers at the end of every term. She reveals photographs of all the children she has taken over through the years. She tells him that she is eagerly anticipating the opportunity to inhabit a boy's body once again. Terrified, Stu attempts to flee, but Mrs. McMyrtle has already locked the door. Calmly, she recounts that 500 years ago, there was no cat food, and her kind had to boil cow's urine to survive. Turning to blackmail, she warns him that she will expose his theft of exam papers to the school unless he complies with her demands. She informs him that if she exposes his actions, he will be expelled and branded a cheater, his father will lose his position as vice principal, and everyone will suspect his sister Kelly of being complicit. Then she explains the rules of her own sinister game. She cannot simply take his body by force, she must earn it. The challenge will be a best-of-3 series of games of chance, chosen by the host. If she loses, she will remain trapped in her current body and forfeit the promise of immortality. Desperate to gain an advantage, he attempts to cheat using the two-headed trick coin his mother had given him. Mrs. McMyrtle, however, calmly informs him that she sees everything and instructs him to select a different game. She proposes a card game instead, where each draws a card and the highest card wins. They begin playing, and he loses the first round. Regaining some confidence, he wins the second round. In the decisive third round, she draws a king. Stu declares that he no longer wishes to continue playing. Mrs. McMurdo warns him that if he forfeits, she will claim victory by default. Summoning his courage, he draws a card and manages to pull an ace. Observing closely, she realizes that he had been secretly pointing his camera at the cards and watching them on a monitor behind her. He defiantly insists that it is not cheating, but merely winning without the pain. The following day, Stu looks out the window, only to find that Mrs. McMurdo has vanished. Stu speaks with his sister Kelly and is horrified to realize that she has been taken over by Mrs. McMurdo. Creature explains that Kelly would do anything to protect him from being expelled, even agreeing to participate in the card game. She thanks him for teaching her the camera trick, without which she could not have defeated her. The episode concludes with her echoing his own words back to him: "It is not cheating after all, but winning without the pain." Like and subscribe the channel for more videos like these.